I want to ask you something right from the start. Has anyone ever called you out of the blue, maybe claiming to be from the bank or even pretending to be a relative, and you just had that strange feeling that something wasn't right? It happens to so many people, and sadly, those of us over 60 are often the main targets. Not because we're weak or because we don't know enough, but because scammers know we care deeply about our families. We tend to be polite, and sometimes we trust too quickly when someone sounds convincing. And that's exactly why I wanted us to sit down and have this talk today, like two friends sharing a cup of tea, because protecting your money is also protecting your peace of mind, your independence, and the freedom you worked so hard to build. Now, when we think of scams, many people imagine some complicated trick that only happens to other people. But let me tell you, scammers are not looking for complicated. They're looking for simple openings. They're looking for those moments when we're a little distracted, maybe worried about a loved one, or simply in a hurry. I've seen stories where a grandmother received a call from someone saying, "Grandma, it's me. I've been in an accident. I need money right away." Her heart started racing. Her instinct was to help, and she almost wired the money before realizing her real grandson was safe at home. That's how quick it can happen. And this is why we need to talk about these common tricks. Not to make you anxious or suspicious of everyone, but to give you confidence. Because the truth is, once you know the signs, once you've seen behind the curtain, these scammers lose their power. Imagine it like this. You're walking down a familiar street at night, and suddenly someone tries to jump out and scare you. The first time it might work, but the second time, when you already know the trick, you just smile, shake your head, and walk right by. That's exactly the kind of strength I want you to feel after this conversation. One of the most common scams today comes through the telephone. A friendly voice, maybe someone claiming to be from your bank, says there's been suspicious activity, and they need your account details to secure your money. It sounds urgent, it sounds official, and they're often very polite. But here's the truth. No bank, no official agency will ever ask you to give private information over the phone. If someone does, it's a scam, plain and simple. The best thing you can do in that moment is breathe, pause, and hang up. And then, if you're really concerned, call your bank directly using the number you know is safe. Think of it as locking your front door. You wouldn't just hand the key to a stranger at your doorstep, right? Another trick often happens through email or text messaging. You might receive a message saying you won a prize, or there's a package waiting for you, but they need some small payment to release it. Sometimes the message looks so official, with logos and signatures, that even younger people fall for it. The rule here is simple. If it feels too good to be true, it usually is. No real prize requires you to pay money first. The moment you see that, just delete it. Trust me, your peace of mind is worth more than any so-called reward. And let me add something important here. There is absolutely no shame in being targeted. Scammers are professionals at what they do. They practice their lines like actors in a play. They know how to press the right buttons in our hearts. So if you've ever come close to falling for one, or even if you have, please don't feel embarrassed. It's not your fault. The only thing that matters now is learning to recognize the signs so it doesn't happen again. In fact, the more we talk openly about these tricks, the stronger we all become. Think of it like passing on wisdom. You've shared lessons about life, about work, about raising families, and now we can also share wisdom about keeping our money safe. You see, protecting your money is not just about the dollars in your wallet. It's about preserving your independence. Because when we lose money to scams, it's not only the financial loss. It can hurt our confidence, make us doubt ourselves, and even affect how freely we live our lives. And I don't want that for you. I want you to feel strong, secure, and proud of the life you've built. You see, protecting your money is not just about the dollars in your wallet. It's about preserving your independence. Because when we lose money to scams, it's not only the financial loss. It can hurt our confidence, make us doubt ourselves, and even affect how freely we live our lives. And I don't want that for you. I want you to feel strong, secure, and proud of the life you've built. Now, as we keep talking, I'll share some other situations you need to watch out for. Some may sound familiar, and some may surprise you. But each one carries a simple step you can take to protect yourself. Because this isn't about living in fear. It's about living with awareness, with confidence, and with peace of mind. You know, as we're sitting here talking about this, I can almost picture the faces of so many people who share their stories with me. Stories of close calls, stories of lessons learned, and even stories of painful experiences they eventually turn into strength. And one of the things that keeps coming up again and again is how scams are rarely about money. They're about trust. Scammers try to put themselves between you and the people or institutions you trust most, and then they try to replace that trust with fear, urgency, or promises that feel irresistible in the moment. Take the so-called grandparent scam, for example. Maybe you've heard of it. A phone rings late at night. A voice says, "Grandma, Grandpa, I need help. I've been arrested, or I'm stuck while traveling, or I had an accident." In that moment, your heart leaps. You don't stop to question the details. You just want to make sure your loved one is safe. And that's exactly the weak spot scammers try to hit. But here's the thing. If you take a second, just one breath, and ask a simple question that only your real grandchild would know the answer, the mask starts to fall apart. Or even better, hang up and call your family directly. Scammers rely on panic. And when you don't give them panic, they lose their power. I once heard a story of a woman in her 70s who received that exact call. She was told her grandson needed bail money immediately. Her hand shook as she looked for her purse. But then she remembered what her daughter had once told her. "If anyone calls asking for money in an emergency, hang up and call me first." She followed that advice. Within minutes, she learned her grandson was at home, safe and sound. Imagine if she hadn't taken that breath. She could have lost thousands. That small pause, that tiny decision to verify, saved her not only her money, but also her peace of mind. And it's not just phone calls anymore. Technology has given scammers more ways to reach us. Some of them create fake websites that look identical to real bank sites. You type in your information, thinking you're logging into your account, and suddenly they've stolen everything. Others use social media to pretend there's someone you know. Maybe you receive a message on Facebook that says, "Hi, I lost my wallet. Can you help me with a little money?" It looks like it's from a friend, but it's not. It's just someone hiding behind their picture. That's why it's so important never to send money or share personal details online without checking directly with the person first. A quick phone call can protect you from a world of trouble. Another trick that worries me a lot is what's called a romance scam. It sounds almost unbelievable, but it's real. Many older adults, especially those who live alone, start chatting with someone online who seems kind, interested, and maybe even loving. Over weeks or months, this person builds a connection, tells stories, sends photos, and gains your trust. And then, little by little, they invent problems, medical bills, travel expenses, sudden emergency, and ask for money. It's heartbreaking because it preys not just on your wallet, but on your heart. And here's what I want you to know. True love, true friendship, never begins with requests for money. If someone you've never met in person starts asking for financial help, that's your signal. Step back, talk to a trusted friend or family member, and see it for what it is, a trick dressed up as affection. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I don't want to be rude. I don't want to hurt someone's feelings if I say no. And that's one of the beautiful things about our generation. We were raised to be polite, to care about others, to not shut the door in someone's face. But when it comes to protecting your money, protecting your independence, it's not rude to say no. It's wise. It's strong. Think of it as the same thing you tell a child or grandchild. Don't talk to strangers. Don't take candy from someone you don't. We learned those lessons young, and now they serve us again in a different form. Here's another angle that often surprises people. Scams don't always come from strangers. Sometimes, unfortunately, they can even come from people we know, distant relatives, neighbors, or acquaintances who see an opportunity. Maybe someone asks to borrow money and promises to pay it back, but never does. Or maybe someone pressures you to sign papers you don't fully understand. That can feel even more painful because it's mixed with betrayal. In those moments, the best protection is clarity. Never sign anything without reading it carefully. Never agree to share your bank account or PIN with anyone, no matter how close they seem. And if you feel pressured, that's already a red flag. Someone who truly respects you will also respect your time and your right to think before deciding. It's so important to remember that your money is not just numbers in a bank account. It's your life's work. Every dollar represents hours of effort, sacrifices made, dreams built. You've earned the right to protect it fiercely. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for saying no. And don't let anyone rush you into a decision. Scammers thrive on urgency. They'll say, "Act now," or you'll lose everything. But in reality, taking your time is your greatest weapon. Real opportunities, real emergencies don't vanish just because you stop to think. I want you to picture it like this. Imagine your money as a garden you've cultivated for decades. You've planted seeds, watered them, protected them from storms. That garden is now blooming. It gives you comfort. It gives you freedom. It gives you peace. If someone came sneaking in at night to steal from it, you wouldn't just open the gate for them. You'd put up a fence, maybe even a light, to keep it safe. That's exactly what awareness does. It builds a fence around your garden, so you can enjoy it without fear. And the more you know about these scams, the stronger that fence becomes. That's why conversations like this are so valuable. Because once you see the tricks, once you recognize the patterns, it's almost like wearing glasses first time. Everything becomes clear. You start to notice the details that don't fit, the words that don't sound right, the pressure that feels unnatural. And when you notice, you can protect yourself. Now, let's keep walking through a few more of these situations because the truth is, staying safe is not about being scared. It's about being prepared. And being prepared means knowing what to look out for, so you can keep your hard-earned money exactly where it belongs. In your hands, serving your life, and supporting your joy. As we've been walking through these situations together, I hope you can feel how powerful a little awareness can be. The truth is, most scams are not complicated. They're actually quite simple. They rely on catching you off guard, on slipping through a crack in your attention, on using emotions like fear, love, or urgency to blind you just long enough to take what they want. But once you shine a light on those tricks, they start to look almost silly, like shadows that disappear when you open the curtains. One of the last areas I want to touch on is something that's becoming more and more common: fake investment opportunity. Maybe you've received a call or an email that promises guaranteed returns. Something like double your money in 3 months, or this is a once-in-a-lifetime change. The words sound exciting, and part of you might even think, why not? Maybe I'll finally catch a break. But let's pause together and think. If someone really had a way to double money safely in 3 months, would they be calling you? Wouldn't they be keeping that secret to themselves, or offering it only to the wealthiest people in the world? The truth is, there's no such thing as risk-free, guaranteed riches. Real investments grow slowly, like a tree taking root. Anyone promising shortcuts is more interested in your wallet than in your well-being. I remember an older gentleman I once spoke with who lost nearly all of his savings to one of these schemes. It started with a small test investment that appeared to grow. He saw fake numbers on a fake website that convinced him everything was real. He felt reassured and added more. Eventually, he put in everything he had, and when he tried to withdraw it, the website vanished. What broke my heart most wasn't just the money, it was his sense of trust. He felt ashamed, as though he should have known better. But I reminded him, and I want to remind you too, it is never your fault when someone deceives you. The shame belongs to the scammer, not to the victim. If you've ever been tricked, you are not weak, you are human, and you're not alone. That's why it's so important to talk about these things openly. Scammers thrive in silence. They count on us feeling too embarrassed to speak up. But the moment you share your experience, the moment you tell a friend, a neighbor, or even leave a comment on a video like this, you're building a wall of protection not just for yourself, but for others too. Because when one person sees the trick, they can warn the next. And that's how a community stays strong. Another thing to watch out for is people who come to your door or call with high-pressure sales tactics. Maybe they offer home repairs, new medical devices, or even charitable donations. They'll stand there smiling, making everything sound urgent. This deal is only good today, or your roof is in danger if you don't act now. These are designed to make you feel cornered, as though you'll miss out or suffer if you don't say yes immediately. But remember, your home, your money, your time, they are yours. You don't owe anyone a decision on the spot. If something is truly legitimate, it will still be there tomorrow after you've had time to think or to check with someone you trust. And speaking of trust, here's a piece of wisdom I'd like you to carry with you. Your instincts matter. So often, we ignore that little whisper inside that says something doesn't feel right. Maybe we don't want to seem rude. Maybe we doubt ourselves. Maybe we think we're just being suspicious. But more often than not, that quiet feeling is your best protector. If a call, an email, or even a person in front of you feels off, trust that. Pause. Step back. Ask questions. You have nothing to lose by being cautious, but everything to lose by rushing forward. Now, before we wrap this up, let's breathe together for a moment, because I don't want this conversation to leave you feeling worried or fearful. The goal isn't to see danger around every corner. It's to feel empowered, to walk through life with eyes wide open, confident in your ability to say no when you need to, and yes when it truly serves you. You've lived too much, worked too hard, and loved too deeply to let someone else's trick take that away. So here's what I want you to remember. You are not helpless. You are not fragile. You are wise, experienced, and strong. And the more you learn about these scams, the more you realize they're not smarter than you. They're just louder, faster, and sneakier. But once you see them clearly, you hold the power. And I'd like to ask something of you. If this conversation has sparked something inside you, if you've recognized a scam you almost fell for, or if you've already lived through one, would you share your story in the comments below? You never know who might read it and be saved from the same trap. Your voice, your experience, could be the reason someone else stays safe. Also, if you found this video helpful, give it a like and share it with a friend, a sibling, or even your children. Let's keep this knowledge moving forward. Scammers may be clever, but together we are wiser. And above all, carry this with you. Life after 60 is not about living in fear. It's about living with freedom. Freedom to enjoy your time, your loved ones, your hobbies, and your peace of mind. Protecting your money from scams is just another way of protecting that freedom. So walk tall, stay aware, and never forget, you still have choices, energy, and joy ahead. Your story isn't over. In fact, it's still being written one strong, wise decision at a time.